Welcome back, everybody. Sport Federation TV. Nice to have you here. Right, so we carry on talking about sport in the province. Of course, one of the codes that you remember it was just a few weeks ago, in fact, that we were talking about Western Cape Gymnastics high performance. Today we are joined with Richard Gubanxa. Richard, Western Cape Gymnastics, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
First time for you with us in the show?
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so you're involved with Western Cape Gymnastics. How long have you been involved with gymnastics?
Actually, not that long. I think it's been about 7 to 8 years.
Well, that's pretty long. I mean, is that as an athlete? Did you start off doing gymnastics yourself?
It's a combination of both. I started very late, like pathetically late. I started like in grade 9.
Yeah.
So I didn't have much time to actually like perfect the sport, but I kind of realized that I'm more suited for helping people.
Right.
Instead of being like in the spotlight.
And when we're going to talk about helping people, because clearly that's what one of your portfolios here is transformation, development within Western Cape Gymnastics. When you were doing gymnastics, were you doing it competitively? Like, did you have a favorite discipline?
My favorite was definitely the parallel bars.
Yeah.
Even though I was competitive, but I couldn't really compete to where I wanted to be, because with gymnastics, you either need to be talented or start quite early, and I didn't have any of those things.
Right.
Yeah. But it was a fun experience.
So parallel bars was your thing.
Yeah.
And did you also do the other?
Yeah, definitely.
The other disciplines. I mean, there's so many disciplines in gymnastics. I get lost. You have to help me.
Cool. There's quite a few. Sometimes they seem different, but they all follow basic principles. So there's rope skipping. There's parkour now, which is kind of cool.
Yes, I see the parkour is in gymnastics program now.
Yeah. There's double money. You like do 3 flips and then you go again. And there's stumbling, we just go.
Right.
Sure. There's, how could I forget?
Of course, there's rings and parallel bar.
That follows under
floor.
artistic.
Oh, does that go under the other side?
Yeah, because they're being like the kind of dancing, being all extra, good posture type of thing. Yeah.
So you've moved from being, you're now focusing on helping kids, helping athletes get involved with gymnastics. You're also teaching instructors on how to teach gymnastics.
Yeah, 100%.
So how does that work for you then, in terms of, I mean, what made you make the move?
I just came about, like, one of my rules was just say yes and think about it later. So the opportunity just came about. So I was like, okay, someone asked me, would you like to be the transformation leader? I didn't even know what that is. I was like, okay, yes. And then they were just like telling me instructions, go to this event where we're teaching some teachers how to work with learners with disabilities. Go to this workshop where they're teaching kids how to do rope skipping. And I just caught on, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm a transformation leader. I need to like transform people's minds to getting a better understanding of gymnastics so that they can implement that skills.
So do you spend quite a lot of time teaching people the physical aspects as well, like how to do gymnastics?
I wouldn't say how to do gymnastics. I would more say how to teach gymnastics, because there is a difference. As well as I also teach kids obviously how to do gymnastics, but teaching is a bit different because you kind of need to be more technical.
Yes.
Yeah, with teaching you kind of need to like come from a technical perspective, but like dumb it down.
Yeah,
that type of thing.
So is it your mission to get more coaches?
Interesting. I kind of just want to make an impact, but that kind of falls under the same thing, because I realized, like, I was like thinking one day, well, how can I make an impact? And I was like, okay, sports is the best way to make an impact. And then it just happened that gymnastics seemed to be the best course of action.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do you now, in your sort of process of doing this, do you go to schools? Do you go to clubs? Where do you teach?
Interesting. It's more based on schooling now, because clubs tend to be more established. Schools are like, we don't know what's gymnastics. We just do athletic, soccer, and netball. so it's more focused on schooling, which is funny because I know like 20 years ago, gymnastics was like everywhere. Every school had like gymnastics. It's kind of just weird that like.
So do you go after school? I mean, kids are obviously doing gymnastics at school.
Yeah.
They've got maybe some equipment there. I know every school is different. Do you wait until school's finished, or do you go during the day? Or?
It tends to be after school, but there are those schools that are like quite relaxed, and they like let you come in during school. So it all depends. Yeah.
And then do you have classes, or are you teaching teachers, or how does it work?
So every year they're like, okay, choose a few schools, and then I just have to basically select schools, and then I'm like, okay, this school, okay, I want to go here, okay, I think I should go here.
Yeah.
So every 6 months, 3 months is like kind of changes. So I go to this school for 3 months or 5 schools, and then I go to the next.
So you're obviously quite in demand. Do the schools have to book your time in advance and get special time with you?
The funny part is, because schools, they only learn about gymnastics once I show up. That's the weird part. They're like, oh, you do gymnastics. Is it that way the people do flips? That's basically point end. But after a while, they get more interested and they're like, oh, wow, okay, it's not that daunting. Because or gymnastics, it seems daunting. How am I going to...
So what I'm also wondering is, have you seen from the time that you've started, I mean, you've been involved now for a while, I know you say it's a short picture, but it does sound, have you seen some sort of progression from where you're working on a daily basis, that maybe a year later or 6 months later or 2 years later, you're seeing those teachers, those kids move on to another level?
Yeah, 100% actually. It's quite interesting how gymnastics work, because when you start off, you kind of wondering, how am I going to do this? How am I going to reach the next level? And then when you work with the learner, when you work with the student, their mind kind of opens to the possibility of what they can do, what they can become. That's the beauty of gymnastics, because when you face the wall or gymnastics first, you're like, this seems impossible. But then once a coach works with you, once someone works with you and explains how to go about it, you're like, oh, I can do this, and that kind of teaches you a crazy life lesson. If I just keep at it, if I just figure out the blueprint, like the main concept of this whole sport, or the main concept of anything, I can actually overcome it.
Well, you're talking about overcoming. I mean, a lot of people do sport because they want to overcome something. They want to overcome life challenges. They want to maybe even just get away from life, where life is maybe a little bit difficult. The role of a transformation officer, you've said that you feel like you want to contribute, you want to make a difference. Do you feel like that's happening?
Yep, because it's quite interesting, because last year we started a project in Kailicha. Normally I work by Mitchell's Plain, that type sort of areas. Now those learners at Kailicha, like I'm teaching them like rope skipping, I'm involved there. But by Mitchell's Plain, they don't want to touch ropes. They want to do artistic, the P-bar. So it's fairly interesting that different places appreciates different aspects of gymnastics. So when I went to the Kailicha, like when I gave them the rope, like you could see the smiles on their faces, like bright up. They could be like, oh no, I'm liking this. I'm liking this. It's sort of like a distraction for them.
Kids, I mean, the kids and the teachers, do they sort of, is this their highlight of the day? This is like, we can't wait.
It seems like it, because they're always so excited.
Do you travel with them at all, like on the weekends maybe, when there's a competition? Do you visit those events as part of Western Cape Gymnastics?
Yeah, with gymnastics, it's fairly interesting. It's not exactly like soccer or netball. We have like a sport event every week or 2 weeks. It's more like every 3 months. So what tends to happen is clubs phone another club or schools phone another school and be like, come and have a competition at the end of the month. Can't we have a competition? So it's more towards that type of thing.
And you'll be there?
Yeah.
You'll be there and people walk up to you and say like, oh, coach, hello.
Yeah, hello coach. Yeah,
okay.
100%.
That's great. So obviously people want to find out more. They can follow Western Cape Gymnastics Association. They can do searches on Facebook. And find out how to get you to come and help them.
100%.
Yeah.
Cool.
Richard, thanks for joining us. We can't wait to find out more.
Thank you for having me.
There we go, folks. Richard Gubanxa is, of course, from Western Cape Gymnastics, intrinsically involved in the transformation of the sport and going out to the schools and going out to, in some occasions, the clubs to help with teaching teachers and, of course, growing the sport of gymnastics. Pay attention. Get involved. If you want your kids to be involved in gymnastics, just go. Probably one of the easiest ways is go to their website, Western Cape Gymnastics Associations, or WCGA. And of course, an easy place to find is on Facebook. We're going to take a break. We'll see you soon.